and we do so many of these actions. I don't know where it's all going to lead. Inevitably, I think that man is going to wipe himself out. We cannot sustain the level of toxicity, chemical releases, biological and chemical agents, assault upon our civilization or our environment for much longer. Fukushima may, I believe, already be the game changer.
Well, sir, in your humble opinion, is the evidence there to suggest that human beings are actually changing the climate with our everyday actions that we do, of driving our car, our SUVs, of consuming as we do? Is the evidence there to say that we are the ones that are changing our climate? Let's put aside the fact that since 1945 up to 1961, that they've let off over 20 nuclear devices in our atmosphere alone and in our stratosphere. So this poisoning of the planet has been going on for over 30, 40, 50 years. And yet suddenly they want to blame all human beings. Is the evidence there to suggest that human beings are alone contributing to this change in climate that we're seeing? What's your thoughts on that, sir?
Well, I wouldn't lay this at the feet of the citizen or the individual. Like I said, driving back and forth to work, maintaining a household, and even building a society. I think that you nailed it right on the head when you said that this was corporate governmental intrusions into our environment and into our lives. They don't care. They simply don't care. But the simple answer is yes, man is responsible, because we know the names of the corporations, the entities, the governments that are involved in these massive worldwide disasters. From that perspective, yes, you can lay it squarely on the shoulders of men and women. And I know that you say that it's not you, it's not me, it's not our neighbor that do these things or condone them. These things are done in our name and not necessarily with our consent, but we are aware of them now. We are aware, all of us are aware, and we have been aware for some time. And yet we have still failed to act in any way. Yes, every one of us is a contributing factor, but not to the detriment and the destruction of our planet at that level. When you get into corporate, government, and military applications, people, human beings, are solely responsible for what we find ourselves in this position now.
One of the biggest nails in the coffin of the global warming climate change proponents, one of the biggest nails in their coffin was, of course, the ClimateGate expose that exposed all the inside emails about changing the data, about creating this hockey stick of the Earth's temperatures rising up through the roof. However, there's been since then there's been more nails in their coffin, considering that half the planet is freezing, considering that that's most of the time when they talk about the Arctic ice increasing, it actually is increasing. So where is the global warming if the Arctic ice is increasing and getting thicker? What they do not subscribe to is the fact that the planet itself does have its own natural cycles, that the solar system does have its own natural cycles that are interplayed with everything else, and we are also seeing all the planets of our solar system changing and being affected. There's a new red spot on Jupiter. There are massive storms on Saturn. There are things happening all over every single one of the planets. I even read that Venus itself is slowing down. So there's changes to these planets that we've never seen before. And of course, we are at the very start of science opening up these things by observing a lot more that happens to our world. So what can you tell me about these changes that are happening? Surely, driving your SUV in downtown Montana cannot have an effect on the storms that we're seeing on Jupiter. Surely.
Well, I started to briefly touch on some of the conditions in space and the solar activity, but I wanted to address the climate issue first. So I kind of breezed past all that. In our deep solar minimum, I'm not an expert or an authority, and I struggle to find information just like most people do. I may have better sources than some people do, but apparently our sun has gone into what physicists are calling a grand solar minimum, while they are expecting a maximum at the same time. It was only 2, 3, 4 weeks ago that NASA predicted that the sun would wildly swing again towards solar maximum, and activity did pick up somewhat, but I believe that that was due to comet activity. The activity in our solar system in the last decade has just been phenomenal. I was always told that it's a vacuum, it's uneventful, not much happens up there, not happen up there actually because it's non-electrical, so on and so forth. But we have all noticed multiple changes in the last decade, if it be due to better scientific instrumentation, more people watching it, maybe a little bit of both, but we have noticed that Venus has slowed in its orbit and become what they call the Ashton Lights, which just means it's a fancy term for it's dragging a tail behind it, like the Earth. It kind of looks like a comet from a distance. We were told in the last 5 years that the core of Jupiter seems to be descending or falling apart or something along those lines. They don't know how long, but they just discovered that. We knew that there were annual storms around the first week of July every year, and this is believed to be outgoing and returning solar currents from the sun, if you're in the electrical universe theory, which I am. Which caused large ammonia storms on the surface of Saturn first week of July. Well, here I think it was 2010. It erupted on July the 4th. It not only erupted on schedule where and when they thought it would happen, but it enveloped the entire planet, or solar body. It's a minor sun is what Saturn is. So it turned white because of the ammonia storms and stayed that way for quite some time. Know that I track the Earth, Moon, Sun declinations in Julian time, and I noticed that we were losing time to the Sun due to the large earthquakes that we started having between 2004 and 2010. We had fallen almost 8 minutes behind the Sun, and recently we have made up most of that time. They have actually been resetting the atomic clock January the 1st every year for the last 4 years. So yes, conditions in space are changing. I can't tell you exactly what they are. Personally, I feel that this has to do with energy bleeding off of the galactic, the Milky Way galaxy, that ebb out in every direction, 360 degrees. That this is always happening, and like waves in the ocean, some are larger, some are smaller, and now we're able to watch them, and I call them the Ibex wave because of the International Boundary Explorer, the Chandra, the Fermi 2, the High Energy Stereoscopic Survey, and a multitude of these institutions and observatories coming together and laying out one map in one program, trying to define the galactic plane, which they have done so very well. But now they are able to see these waves of energy, and they're in the spectrum of photons, X-rays, microwaves, gammas, radio, the whole spectrum of light. Therefore, you really cannot see them coming in these waves, and some are stronger than others. And I'm under the personal belief, this is not a scientific fact, that our solar system is being affected from outside our solar system by the galactic plane, or the Milky Way galaxy, energies emanating off. There's no real evidence of large objects or heavy mass objects in the vicinity of our solar system. Look at Jupiter and Saturn would be our first indicator. 17 moons of Jupiter, I believe, 23 in Saturn. plus the 60 plus NASA spacecraft we have out there, and none of them are being disturbed, being caught in gravity welds, being blasted out of their trajectories or orbits by the heavy gravities of these, like a dual binary star circling far beyond our Oort cloud. These things are still speculative, and there are no internal things happening in the solar system that will indicate that something's very close to us, coming close to us, or near to us, or on its way. But one thing that we have noticed is a stream of debris coming through our solar system, what they're calling dirty space. Minute gases, dusts, sands, granules of material, some of them the size of your fist, maybe larger. And the overpresence, I believe, I'm going to call it an overpresence of comets in our solar system in the last decade. I can remember, being interested in astronomy all my life, and maybe 1, 2, 3 comets would come through our solar system, known comets, through our solar system every year. And now we're up there where we have over a dozen of them right now today. More than 1 dozen comets in our solar system, active in our solar system. Comet Elenin has returned. It's not in its on its way in, it's on the out, but has erupted a coma as large as the size of Jupiter, and it's still in our solar system. Approximately, what I believe it was 4 to 5 AU behind Jupiter on its way out when it erupted. This is inexplicable, and I've never heard of anything like this. I know that Comet Ison just went behind Mercury yesterday or the day before, and it had been glowing green because of the electrical field in charge through its coma actually turned blue, and the red shifting